what the most frightening thing in the world is.
We have great demons every week.
Boy, we've had a number of them.
It's incredible what they produce week in and week out with so little time. I walk on the set every day and, kind of, oh my God.
Hey, Richard Straley, I've heard so much about you.
Named after Marty Noxon's family, I believe. The Straleys were fun because they appeared to be perfect suburban family when in fact they're half demon and are trying to, I believe, eat Doyle's brains.
This is a shrimp fork. He's going to eat the guy's brains with a shrimp fork?
We're at a family barbecue and cut open his cranium and get me a shrimp fork.
One of my favorite episodes was probably episode 11, when a vampire named Penn showed up. The vampire against vampire fighting was really, really great.
Penn was a progeny of angels. He created him, made him into a vampire. Initially, the idea for that episode was there would be murders in L.A. that would resemble Angel's old M.O. from when he was killing in the good old days, and that it would turn out to be this vampire that he had sired. I think what ended up making that story work for me was that we played the entire first act without revealing that fact. So the entire first act is about, am I doing this in my sleep? Am I, in fact, killing people now without actually remembering doing it? And in fact, the answer becomes, yes, I am, because it's my fault, because I created this guy. And I just thought it was fun to think of a Puritan running around being a vampire. Ethros demon was the demon that possessed the boy without a soul.
My notion was, what if a sweet, loving child was possessed by a horrible demon, and our characters had to perform an exorcism.
Sorry about the possession and everything.
And after a tremendous amount of sturm and drang, they get the demon out of the kid, and then they hunt the demon down, and the demon says, I've never known coldness like that was in that kid. The kid is more evil than the demon.
That boy's mind was the blackest hell I've ever known.
The notion to see something scary that is terrified of something else was the fun of that. There was good and bad in the Haxel Beast. This was an episode, another Cordelia-centric episode, and an episode that I liked very much because it sort of took a problem that one might face in one's 20s, really magnified it. The idea was that Cordelia met somebody who appeared to be a very nice guy, did in fact sleep with him, woke up the next morning, 8 3/4 months pregnant, clearly with some terrible, terrible demon spawn. Now, the Haxel Beast was this giant beast and worked through these guys, kind of creepy billionaires, boys club kind of guys, who would be rewarded with money and power and position, and they would impregnate these women with the Haxel Beast spawn.
I particularly remember him because he was sort of meant to be this 100-foot demon.
So the idea came, well, let's just build a little Haxel Beast, and we'll shoot him in a little cave opening, and then we'll build a giant cave opening, and we'll shoot over things.
We were looking up in horror, and I'm challenging this enormous beast to a duel.
And I'm here to fight you, sir, to the death.
In fact, on the top of a 40-foot ladder is an AD going, "Arrgh!"
He was a little on the cute side. There was a little bit of Daffy Duckness to the Haxel Beast.
So the challenge there really was to keep a straight face.
The Mora demon was a sort of a regenerating demon that you couldn't really kill it, and that his blood had magic regenerating powers. And Angel, in fact, got some of his blood on him, and that's what turned Angel human. And the Mora demon was designed kind of like quasi-samurai, a little bit of a bug in him. And he had a big jewel in the middle of his forehead, so we could smash this jewel in the end. It was the way to kill the Mora demon. One of the ideas in the script was that when the Mora demon regenerated, he would be a much huger, much more scary guy. So we had a guy about 5'8" playing Mora demon number 1, and a guy about 5'8 1/4" playing Mora demon number 2.
Crib, that's mine.
Now it's mine. The ugliest and the worst would have been from The Ring, which was an episode about Spartacus.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome for the second night in a row, and still fresh from his first kill, Angel!
David was held captive as a slave to fight, and we had a frog creature who could zip his tongue out and steal stuff, and he was pretty awesome.
What do you... Give that back!
That was so cool. This is gonna be fun.
As far as villains go in season 1, I consider Faith a villain sort of early on. I mean, she really kicked some tail. That girl is bad. She is bad.
Ghost Mom.
You're not good enough for my boy. This will never be your home.
Was the meanest one for me personally, because it affected my character directly. Aleve, I'm sorry your son killed you. You can have the apartment. Just let me go.
It's too late for that.
No.
You know what happens next.
Joss Whedon was very involved in both the breaking of that story and the designing of the Voca demon, to the point of where Joss drew the mask that he wore. And Joss imagined a guy in a long flowing robe with a sort of a scary, almost Mardi Gras-looking mask. And in the climax of the show, Voca and Angel have this huge, huge fight, and his mask is ripped off, and you see that what he has underneath the mask is just a bunch of maggots. It was really the scariest demon we ever did. I think our makeup people did a terrific job. They built an entire head that looked exactly like the guy, except it was a fake head and it had maggots in here. And the way the show is cut, you can't tell that you're well, except for the face full of maggots, that you're cutting to something that isn't the real guy. It's very scary, and this mask comes off, and you see these maggots growing on it. It was great, and the head moved, and the eyes moved. It would all seem very alive.
Welcome to Wolfram and Hart. I hope you had a pleasant journey.
Joss Whedon came up with the idea, we need some overarching villainous group. And he had this idea of a law firm, which we call Wolfram and Hart in the show. They broker deals for people. And they represent people who refuse to say if something is good or bad.
And shall never be convicted of any crime. Ever.
They just are making the deal.
Senior partners were very impressed with your sacrifice. Trust me, we'll even a score with him.
Yes, we will.
Beginning with what's in that box.
One of the things that keeps the show alive and interesting for those of us who create it is that it's different week to week. One week it's a farce, one week it's a drama, it's a melodrama, and then sometimes it's very, very scary.